Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David.
Oilers end a 6-game losing streak in pretty much a must-win game.
Yeah.
Let's face it, if you lose that, you're playing Arizona. And Bruce, they played a really strong game in doing it. They didn't. First, they got a little lucky there right at the end when Keller hit the side of the net rather than put it in the net to tie the game. But the Oilers played probably their best period of the year in the second period.
Mm-hmm.
They were strong throughout. Koskinen made saves when he needed to. The Oilers outchanced them 12-7 on grade 8 chances. Good game from the Oilers. Let's do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast, Bruce. What is your good thing?
Well, I'm going to go with the play. I guess let's share the wealth. The big 2, McDavid and Draisaitl, carrying the team offensively yet again, scoring all the goals. 3 goals and 2 assists between them in a 3-1 Oilers win, and really dominating play. I was especially impressed, I have to say, with Leon's game tonight. I thought he was actually the strongest Oilers forward in this game, and with some pretty impressive stats to back that up: a goal and assist, +2, 5 shots on net, and a phenomenal 21 out of 27 in the face-off circle, 76%, and that was a big part of the 78%. A big part of the success of that line was they started with the puck a lot, and they just have such good chemistry, and they adopted a new line mate tonight and made him look pretty good as well.
Well, he chipped in a little bit himself. Zach Kassian did. Bruce, Draisaitl's on track for like 104 points.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go, Leon Draisaitl. That's what every Oilers fan hoped to see when he got that big contract.
Mm-hmm.
And he's living up to it. So good for him.
Yeah, well, I think he's living up to it. I sure keep reading a lot of slams on him, but
Bruce, you follow the wrong people on Twitter.
I guess I don't know what's going on with that. I mean,
I don't follow those people anymore. I got tired of that kind of nonsense long ago.
Well, some of them are good people, but I don't agree with them on that particular thing. Well, I mean, both McDavid and Draisaitl play better together, and they proved it again tonight.
They are ripping it up, and there's just no one else really. I mean, I think you could go with RNH and Ratty. I was looking at who's creating grade A scoring shots today,
Mm-hmm.
and Ratty's creating them at the same rate at even strength as Draisaitl. The guy has a nose for the net, and he's the one guy I think who's being underutilized by Hitchcock, maybe based on some history. But the guy, he's on the top power play, so I shouldn't complain too much. But yeah, Draisaitl and McDavid are getting it done, and absolutely essential. Obviously, Oilers have no hope if that doesn't happen, and it didn't happen last year. Draisaitl wasn't on a 104-point pace last year, and McDavid wasn't on whatever he's on. What is it, 125 or 126-point pace this year? So they're just that much better this year, and it's fantastic to watch. My good thing, Bruce, has been, and it's now, are we up to 8 games for Caleb Jones, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm all in, Bruce. It's probably a little early, but he is so, I just see a player, and Hitchcock, of course, talked about this. He saw, someone asked him Ryan Rashog asked him if he's seeing signs of Caleb Jones being a good player. And he said, signs? He's like, this is a hell of a player. And man, I watched Jones a lot in the AHL, and he's one of those players, and I've heard about this kind of player who, there's the kind of player who's really smart, savvy, and will look better in the NHL than they looked in the AHL, just because they're thinking at a game at a higher level. And I can't say I've ever seen that before, but this may be the first time I've seen it, because Jones looks better in the NHL than he ever looked in the AHL to me. He just is, he's able to make plays at a high level with other players. When he gets the puck in his own zone on his stick, there's no panic, as opposed to some of the other hand grenade, handling the puck like hand grenades, defensemen on the Oilers, and there's at least 3 of them. And wow, I I can't wait till Russell comes back, because when he is back, Bruce, I see the Oilers have a top four again. They have four defensemen they can count on in Jones and Russell, Nurse and Larson. They don't know which. Probably see them in various combinations, but they might be able to just hang in there, Bruce, with that group of four defensemen until Klefbom comes back, and win enough games in January to stick around in the wild card race till March. And who knows what's going to happen in March, right? You can get hot in March and start winning some games and make the playoffs. So it's all kind of exciting, and I think Caleb Jones is a big part of that.
Well, he's in there for now. I mean, there's going to be a big numbers crunch at such point his bodies get healthy, and I'm not sure they have places to put them all. This was my big concern with. I mean, they traded two defensemen out for the two that came in, but there's a little bit more of a little tougher to move. Like all along, I was thinking, well, when time comes, they'll waive Jason Garrison. Well, he's gone now, so they don't have that option. Like they don't have that card up their sleeve. So when they have 9 guys healthy, Jones might be odd man out, or I mean, it all also depends on how he's playing. But as long as if he keeps playing like this, then he should be all right. But it's going to get complicated.
Not that complicated, Bruce. I mean, let's just go to my bad thing.
Yeah, let's go
every time Manning and Benning were on the ice, I was just holding my breath, waiting for something bad to happen. Those guys, they are such weak puck movers, both of those guys. And I'm not seeing Manning good in the defensive end particularly either. It's an easy call at this point. And how maybe Chicago waited to waive Brandon Davidson till they had moved Manning, because
no doubt.
There's no way, man. Like, I don't know. I've just seen him 2 games. I should hold off. I'll just hold off. Okay. But what I've seen so far, like, Brandon Davidson is a better, safer player than Brandon Manning. Maybe Manning will improve. Petrovic Bruce caused the first goal as well. First, he coughs up the puck in the corner, and then he's slow to the, it was a bang play. It was a tough play after that, but he was a little slow to the guy making the pass in the slot. So I'm not exactly. Petrovic has a habit of missing the puck when he goes to pass it or shoot it. I've seen it a number of times, and he's this big, tall, lanky guy, and I don't think that's a bug; it's a feature. And listen, Jones is in a completely different league as far as I can see. It's just been 7 games, but every minute of every one of those 7 games, almost, I've been impressed with the player. And with Manning and Petrovic, I'm not sold at all. So to me, this is not at all hard. And then Benning, man, every time he moves the puck, it seems to get chipped, tipped, knocked down. Like, not every time, that's an exaggeration, but 90% of the time. Often. You're noticing that, Bruce? It's not just me who notices.
Clean passes are not getting through. Yeah, I'm noticing.
So I don't see any Jones, and I don't think Hitchcock's just blowing smoke when he raves about. His eyes, when Rashog asked that question about signs of him looking good, Hitchcock's eyes just about bugged out of his head. He was so excited to talk about this player, and unless he goes on a run of bad games, which is always possible, Caleb Jones is an Edmonton Oiler this year and for years to come. Who's with me?
Sounds good. I mean, we've seen guys impress in the early going before, and then sometimes the bloom comes off the rose, and whether that's their level of play that drops a little bit, or whether we start to notice the things that our initial crush ignored us from, had us sort of ignoring while we were falling in love with all those good things, right? And
we sure love Matt Benning, and me included, in 2016-17. Mm-hmm. But again, I contend there's been some injuries since then.
Yep.
And I don't think he's the same player. Like, honestly, he just seemed so much sounder with the puck previously. And I don't know what's going on, but that savvy with the puck, and maybe Jones is going to get run, and that'll be it with him too. But I'm not saying it's it with Matt Benning. Matt Benning could still have a long NHL career. He could turn this around. But Jones, is far ahead of him. Those Petrovic and I keep wanting to call Manning Weidman. Um, Manning just got walked on the first
early in the game.
early
Yeah,
in the game.
that
He
was
got
his
walked by
worst.
the immortal Richard Panic,
Mhm.
and I'm not feeling it, Bruce. Um, uh, uh,
I thought he
although
was
Spooner,
okay
I've been down
after
on
that.
Spooner. I thought Spooner played better today, so maybe he's going to step it up here.
I thought he was okay after that early adventure, and just
Manning, yeah.
yeah, nothing special. But I didn't think he got burned particularly, and um, just behind his own blue line, he was okay, and in the offensive zone, nothing.
I was
Like
counting their shifts. I was just thinking, it's 10 minutes left, probably 3 more shifts. We just got to get through those shifts. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Manning and Benning, but that's what I was doing. Okay, your bad thing.
yeah, my bad thing. It's not even really that bad because I don't think they got owned in terms of dangerous scoring chances. They just couldn't ever get out of their own end, and that was Ryan Nugent Hopkins, Jesse Pugliarvi, and Tobias Reeder. And they just they just spent an awful lot of shifts where it seemed like it took them the whole shift to get the puck to center so they could shoot it in and get off for a line change. And not a whole lot being created in the good end of the ice. And certainly the shot shares. I mean, Nugent Hopkins 6 to 19 on shot attempts, which is a very 3/4 of the shot attempts in their own end. Now, mostly, I thought Arizona was shooting from the outside, and a lot of their shots were, angle shots or from the blue line or both. And so, even though they outshot the Oilers 30-24, I kind of thought your data would show Edmonton in front. Indeed, it did by a convincing 12-7. But it was more just, I think they were chasing the puck, and I don't think they stunk without the puck, but they could never get moving with the damn thing.
Well, who
And
knows? Maybe. Listen, Bruce. I will say this: there was the one chance in the game where Pugliarvi set up Reeder on a brilliant chance,
yes, that
uh,
was a
and,
good play by Jesse in particular, and drew a penalty, right?
and that penalty, the Oilers had the best looking power play they've had without scoring all year, and they had 3 grade A chances on that power play and a couple other close ones that just missed the net. So there was that, but Hitchcock has talked a bit about not being overly aggressive, and there was one shift in particular late in the second period where that line got hemmed in,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be instructive to watch it again. And I think Reeder and Pugliarvi perhaps, and especially Reeder, got running around at the point a little bit there,
Mm-hmm.
but there could be some. We're gonna what's the old Miami Dolphins defense? We're gonna bend but not break
Right.
going on there, where we
Yeah.
will not overcommit
Mm-hmm.
and get out of position. I mean, we saw. I think there was a chance in the third that came close where Nurse got a little higher. Maybe maybe the overcommitting was going on or not going on there, and that will have a little bit more running around, but you're not going to give up that real horrific scoring chance. I don't know. I'd have to look
Yeah.
closely. It'd be interesting to hear Hitchcock's take on that and
Mm-hmm. Sure would.
his honest assessment, what he would say behind closed doors, not necessarily to the media people.
What do you think Hitchcock blows smoke to the media sometimes?
He's admitted it. He's a salesman and he's selling to the players. And surprisingly, even in the midst of that 6-game losing streak, Bruce, he was very
Yeah.
positive,
Upbeat.
cheerful,
Mm-hmm.
not grumpy. I guess he's just thinking, what have I got to lose here? Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna. He just wakes up in the morning, makes up his mind. I'm just gonna have fun and try to coach this team, try to make these players better, and see how that goes. Maybe he's not feeling the weight of the world like McClellan probably was. Although McClellan was always pretty good with the media as well, I have to say. So Bruce, your number.
Well, I'm going to have to go with the number 1, as in 1 goal against in a game. And here's a surprise. The last time they gave up 1 goal in a game was the last time they won a game. And in the 6 games in between times, they allowed 4 to 7 goals in each and every game. So they got blown up for 29 goals against in the losing skid. And tonight, 1 goal against, and it was, they did the bend but don't break thing in the first period. And Koskinen, I think, was probably at his best mostly in the first.
Yeah, they had 5
and,
chances.
and he had a couple of good saves down the stretch in the second, not so much. But I thought Edmonton mostly played with the lead pretty good, and they didn't give up much in the way of direct chances. And as you've got a 12-7 in scoring chances, there's some good defensive play in there. Even if the puck was in their own zone, they weren't yielding like clear looks from the slot and such. So for the defensive effort, if McDavid and Draisaitl are each going to score a goal and you only give up one, well, you got a really good chance of winning that game, and that's basically how it worked out tonight.
The scariest scoring chance in the third was the one that Caleb Jones saved from going in the net. What a you need to get lucky. I mean, that could have been in. Keller's shot could have been in. The Oilers just had some puck luck tonight, and
a little bit, yeah.
That wasn't the. That's not the reason they lost all those games. Was puck luck.
No,
but they didn't get it. That's for sure.
No, not a lot.
They had terrible puck luck for most of those games, and that's how it goes in hockey. This must be brutal for an NHL coach to lose 6 in a row partly because of that. So my number, Bruce, it's 4, and there's 2 4s. For the first time in a number of weeks, I had the nerve, the guts to look at the NHL standings to see how the Oilers are doing after this win, and they're just 4 points out of the final wild card spot. So that's a long ways to make up in the NHL with loser points.
Sure is.
Or it's 2 games away. So they're still in the running. They are still, even after 2 horrendous streaks, they've also had 2 incredible good runs. So if they can just get on a hot streak, they need to get on another one right now and win 2/3 of their games in January to grind their way back up to real 500 by the All-Star game. And that would be fantastic. That should be the goal. And it's achievable, I think, if they don't lose another defenseman, if Russell comes back strong. And when Russell comes back from injury, he's usually absorbed so many nasty bruises from blocking shots. When he comes back, he's usually pretty good, I've noticed in recent.
Pressure,
yeah. He's taken in past years. I think he's always taken 3, 4, 6, 7 games, through the year. Misses games because he gets so beat up. I'm hoping that he's going to be really good to go, and will make a difference because he has been their defensive stopper this year on the Oilers. Chris Russell, very underrated hockey player. And the other
he's got the best goals against per 60 on the team.
Yeah, and the lowest number of mistakes on grade A scoring chances against of any Oilers defenseman on a rate basis. He just shuts down other players in the slot, and he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make bad decisions. Every defenseman is going to get beat, and a defenseman playing top 4 minutes is going to get beat once a game on a grade A chance on average. But he's just a little less. He's lower than Larson, lower than Clefbaum, lot lower than Nurse. So I got a lot of time for Chris Russell as a hockey player. And I'm saying if your stats say he's a bad player, if your stats actually tell you that he's a bad player, you should look at your stats. Think again about what stats you're trusting and how you're interpreting them. Bruce, my other 4 is Zach Kassian. And he had 4 major contributions to grade A scoring chances at even strength.
Fantastic.
He played like we've all hoped Milan Lucic would play like this on a top line. He played that role to perfection. He didn't take any penalties. He hustled like crazy. He skated. He went hard to the front of the net, and he made simple plays, including setting up McDavid for a goal. He had all year before this, Bruce, he had at even strength 24 major contributions to grade A scoring chances, 24, and he did 4 in 1 game. Now, that's playing with some good players, but he also really did his job. So bravo, Zach Kassian. And here's to all the people, and I'm not in this number. I don't think you are either. Here's to all the people there who have lobbied for years for Zach Kassian to get on the top line and see how that goes. They finally got their wish tonight, and happy birthday or happy cast day or whatever it is, because he had a hell of a game.
Yeah, he did play really well tonight, and you're right. I'm not on that particular train, but kudos for him for coming through with an inspired performance, with playing with the boys, and even to some degree an inspirational performance. I think he may have lifted them a little bit. But let's have this conversation again in a week.
Oh, come on. Let's just celebrate. Let's celebrate Cast Day today, Bruce, okay?
Well, today, sure.
We all know what's going to happen. Like, we don't have to belabor this point. We all know Caleb Jones is going to start leaking scoring chances, and the Oilers are going to get bad puck luck, and Zach Kassian's going to come down to earth with a crash. This is known.
And the refs are going to start turning against us again.
Yeah, and Leon Draisaitl's goal would be called a high sticking violation in another game or some damn thing. Like, we just know these things are going to come about because we are Oiler fans and we know the suffering is near. The darkness is just around the corner, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to fall into a big pit of despair.
Well,
but happy Cast Day, Bruce.
Not tonight. But we'll celebrate a somewhat mundane, but solid enough 3-1 win in Arizona, and take the 2 points and run. I mean, 2 points. That's the main thing. They just had to get a result from this game, and they got it.
Did they ever? It would have been over. It truly would have been. Like, just losing to that team, which isn't a good team, and 6 points down. I mean, of course, any team can go on to this huge winning streak, but come on, you can't let that gap get too large.
Oh, and the other lucky thing that happened for Edmonton tonight was that Arizona was missing 2 players due to illness, and there were 2 pretty good players that they were Jordan Schmaltz that they just got from Chicago in the big trade, and Alex Goligoski, who's sort of one of their kingpins on defense. So I don't know how many games we've seen where some Oiler or other's been out with the flu and it's messed us up, but this was one in turnaround where the other guy got the flu, and it wasn't when they were playing Calgary, it was when they were playing Edmonton. So I guess what goes around comes around. But that weekend, Arizona, they're not a particularly strong team to begin with, so that was a bit of a break for the Oil.
Alrighty, let's leave it there, Bruce. You got the game grades right, so thanks for talking tonight.
No, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.